the Taranaki Breeders' Stakes, which is our first cab off the rank. The girls in this race are going to produce the next wave of great New Zealand racehorses, we hope. Let's see how they jumped from the 1400 metre start point. And, well, I suppose they jumped and ran early, George, including the eventual winner. Nicoletta was right on the gas early.
Exactly. Another big race win for the Baker Forsman team. Jonathan Riddell aboard Nicoletta, and she was able to go forward and dominate really from the race. Henny out wide in the pink colours went up, but Riddell had the situation well and truly under control, I thought, most of the way. Deco got a fair way back in the field, but I thought it was a nice ride by young Bill Pint. And from this point, I thought Nicoletta was going to be hard-pressed, although Henny was being a nuisance. Darsgate Princess trailed them up in third spot. But in the end, the Baker Forsman polish came through with Nicoletta. She's a good mare, you know, and she deserved the black print yesterday.
So Hayden, when you're riding a favourite like that and you've got to the front, I think it's generally against its pattern. What are you trying to do there? Just rate it perfectly?
Just rate it on the ground. Try and find the best track conditions, and just try and save your cash for the end.
Okay, you got a suspension at the end of this, Jonathan Riddell, for just getting a wee bit loose in the last 100 metres, which we will have a look at. Other runners in the race, I thought acceleration out wide, just in behind them in the yellow cap, was a wee bit unlucky, and of course the form line and all the money was on Living on a Prayer wide on the track.
It was a good run from Living on a Prayer out wide down the outside. Jonathan Riddell got suspended from this ride. He got 12 days and a $500 fine. On the winner, Nicoletta, over the last 100 metres, he should say, got a little bit loose, moved out and dictated the line of Henny, who was on the outside of it, and consequently, as we see on the head-on, have a look at the horse, two off the rail, starting to move across now, and that is Nicoletta. Riddell, though, he's not going to stop urging it to the line.
Did he do the right thing there, Hayden? Do you just keep going?
Did he do the right thing? Possibly not, no. We're supposed
Obviously
to keep him on the straight line. However, because he was in such a tight finish, it comes down to how much you can give them. If he'd stopped it and straightened that horse up, would he still have won? It's a very fine line of, do you keep going, do you let it keep running out, or should you stop and ride?
How much of the fact that he probably thought he had Henny, the horse that he was moving out onto, covered anyway, but it was the ones out wide, Living on a Prayer, who was coming home quite nicely. Yep. He was probably more worried about that?
Possibly, yeah, because you've lit up all the way, you know, you've done all the donkey work in front, and you're a sitting duck to be run down, so I'm guessing with them running out, and as we said then, not wanting to stop riding, it's a fine line between straightening them up and winning the race by running out.
I let one wander at the trots in the amateur race the other night, and I didn't get suspended for 6 weeks or $500. They just warned me.
Just warned you?
For being incompetent. Got to show more control at the end of the race. But I think, we're going to talk about whips later. Whips are quite a complicated thing when you're a rider. I think they get in the way, don't they? They do when you're an amateur driver, I know that. Yeah,
possibly. For a young apprentice or an early rider, yeah, they would definitely get in the way. But once you've been riding a few years, it's just another natural piece of the rain.
The best bit of a mixed day for JML Bloodstock with the result that mare was placed on several occasions, I think, at Group 1 level, and she finally got through for a black type win, so her foals are guaranteed 6 figures plus. You can relate to that, can't you, George?
Oh, look, I mean, it's so important for the mares, the well-bred mares, and, you know, Le Petagna and the team there, they've got a wonderful strike rate with their mares. With all the horses basically, but the mares, you know, they've obviously got a future as far as brood mares are concerned off the track, so to get that black print is so important for them.
I was saying mixed day because Peaceful didn't quite turn up at Caulfield yesterday, but you've been talking to Baker this morning, I think, wasn't it in season or something?
Yeah, apparently. So Peaceful, the word from Andrew Forsman was that didn't have much luck yesterday, and it was a topsy-turvy day for the team yesterday, but look, they've got some wonderful mares and some wonderful horses, Le Petagna and the team, and they'll continue to win big races.
Rosa Carolina, a horse that I actually had something to do with breeding, bled yesterday, but it's in foal to Vachi in those colours, and she's been retired from racing. If we were looking to a local race for some local cups form, then this is the race to have a look at. They went flat out too early. The Open Handicap over 2,100 metres, otherwise known as the Egmont Cup. Early on, we're going to pick it up from about the 1,000, but they went hammer and tongs in this race, Hayden. For the first 1,000 metres, it was just 3 wide, 4 wide chasing the lead. Is that good riding?
If you've been instructed to lead on your horse, and so have 2 or 3 others, then who leads and who gives up?
Yeah.
At the end of the day...
But at what point do decide, well, tactics that I've been told before the race ain't going to play here? At what point do you give up?
When you've gone too fast, pretty much. It all depends on the riders you're against. If 2 or 3 young riders have been told to leave, they can go hammer and tongs. If it's senior riders, you probably lent up a little earlier than that. But yesterday, yeah, they did go obviously a little too fast in front, and it just set up from behind.
This led to the back runners having a field day here.
Yeah, it was always going to, and Tony Lee mentioned it halfway through the race as well. It was setting up nicely for the swoopers, for the back runners. One of those was Ladies First. I thought it was a good ride by Billy Pinn. He made his move coming towards the home turn. On the corner, I thought Ladies First was home. One of the horses he went past just before the home turn was the eventual winner, Nymph Monte, and another nice race success for Shafiq Rousseff. He's a gun, this bloke. He can ride. He's very stylish, and they run for him as well, which is always important. So, yeah, Nymph Monte, Ladies First.
Finally, Nymph Monte too, eh? He's
yeah,
been sort of knocking. He went a couple of blinders at Hastings.
Yeah, he's a horse that probably earlier on you thought he'd go right through the grades. Well, he has gone through the grades, but you thought he'd win a really nice couple of races. He's been there or thereabouts, hasn't quite possibly got there, delivered on that early promise, but...
might keep going now.
Yeah, look, he was a nice win yesterday.
What did you make of Ladies First?
Interesting week for the connections of Ladies First.
How much does it cost for a sustaining payment for the Melbourne Cup? You think it got it back?
Look, she will... Well, you've ridden for Alan Sharrock over the years, and you know that we call him Red, of course. You never die wondering what Alan Sharrock is thinking. What about after this week when he missed the early payment, the first payment for the Melbourne Cup with Ladies First?
I would have think his face would be shiny red when he'd found out that he'd missed the payment. It just goes to show everyone's human.
Yeah, he did put his hand up.
Jockeys make mistakes, trainer makes mistakes. He merely put his hand up. It's an unfortunate mistake.
Sacking offence, he called it.
Yeah, sackable offence, he said, but I think the connections are staying true to the cause, which will be good news for Ellen.
Definitely, she's a good enough horse.
Is she going well enough to achieve the targets that have been quite lofty for her, though? You'd probably think she should have won that race yesterday.
She's probably not at a peak yet, though. He'd be trying to peak it for the Melbourne Cup. So like yesterday's run would have still been on her way up.
OK. And Nymph Monte obviously has a bit of a turn of foot. Of the ones that were in front, I thought Samson seemed to kick on quite well. Of the ones that went sort of haywire in the first part of the race. Strolling Vagabond, Maygrove, and even Old Pentathon went a good race in terms of looking forward to New Zealand Cups and what have you. You guys see anything in that?
No, I thought the winner was quite good, really. Beautiful ride. And Ladies First will keep as well.